The last place I lived was $420 a month. That was lot rent. I owned the trailer outright, had the title in my hand. So it was my property forever. All I had to do was pay $75 a year in taxes and the $420 a month in lot rent, right? So I lived there 13 years. So over a total of 13 years, I gave the owner of a trailer court like this, I gave him $65,000. I could have bought a nice starter house for $65,000, but at the end of the deal, I got nothing. He got 65 grand and got to keep my trailer. The place before that, I lived at a campground. I built up a nice camper worth like 10, 12 grand with a 30 by 40 overhang around it, and I paid $500 a month, and I lived there for a year, and at the end of it, I gave them the camper versus $600 in rent, meaning that I signed over the title, they owned the camper, and they got to pocket $13,000. So I'm just giving my money away, and this is stressing me out because I'm 50 years old and I want to grow some equity. I want to be rich in my life and not feel poor. So I asked my parents to buy me a place, and they bought me this, but it's not in my name and it's in a campground. I showed my mom no less than 4 or 5 trailers like this that were on land, and I showed her that were 10 grand. I said, please just buy me one. Please just buy me one. I'll never ask you for anything again. I don't want any inheritance from you. Please just buy me a $10,000 trailer on a half-acre of land where all I have to pay is $600 a year for taxes. That's it. That's it. I'll run solar. I'm getting ready to run solar in my car. I run solar on my house. So I have no bills except for those yearly taxes. That would have put me in a great position to be ahead financially, because I would be able to pocket that $65,000 instead of giving it to someone else, right? So I ask and I ask and I ask. My house was falling apart. I showed them all these for $10,000, and they said, no, we got to buy you a $25,000 brand new 2-year-old trailer, which doesn't guarantee that nothing will work. It doesn't guarantee that the roof won't leak. It doesn't guarantee that the air won't work. In fact, this is 2 years old, and the air conditioner and the heater are both out. I use fans in the house. So it gives you no guarantees, but you have to sit here and stress on the worry that I'm going to stay here for this long, and all of a sudden they can take my property. Now, this isn't in my name. When my parents die, they could transfer title over this to one of my sisters, and they just boot me out. So I paid all that money. So here is $709 a month. So asking for help, they doubled my rent and tripled my electricity, because this place doesn't have natural gas. It is Ameren, which is double the pay. So I pay 3 times the amount for utilities here and twice the rent. That was my help I got when I asked. So if I live here for a year, that's 12 months, that's $8,500 a year. So if I stay here 10 years, I will have paid this trailer court right here $85,000 to live here, right? And I don't own the place. I gave him 85 grand, which is a house. So now I'm into it. 2 starter houses that I could have owned. You know what I mean? Buying one and renting one out for monthly rent. And I could have set myself up and been nice, but they didn't want to do it. They said, you have to do it this way. You have to do it this way. And I said, this isn't a good way, but they didn't care. They said, I'm not going to buy you anything or help you out at all unless you get a nice brand new trailer that I don't have to worry about the roof, right? So I'm stuck here all this time, and I'm just not going to do this. So I'm moving out. I'm living in my van. I'm putting solar in my van. There's one of the solar panels right there, and I'm just going to live there and bank my money until I can buy a $10,000 trailer. I should be able to accomplish that through DoorDash, making $1,000 a week. I should be able to buy a $10,000 trailer in 3 months flat and only owe $50 a month. No utilities, no bills. It's in my name. I own it outright. So that's what I'm doing. So I asked for help and it didn't help. You know, they put me deeper into the hole. They doubled my rent and doubled my utilities. So I'm not ungrateful. I lived here, but you can have this back. You can sell this. You can pocket the money, because I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. The math doesn't math. And the sad thing is, you know this, because going back through my life and history of where my parents have lived, they live in a $400,000 house up on the hill in Peoria. And the house before that, they had a $300,000 house in Naples, Florida. And before that, they had a $250,000 house in Bloomington. And before that, they had another $250,000 house in Bloomington. And before that, they had a $35,000 house starter, or $40,000 starter house that they bought in Tremont, and then just worked their way up. So they had me working my way backwards for no reason. Now I'm 50 years old. I've had 6 strokes and 2 heart attacks. 50. If I stay here 10 years and pay this place 85 grand and this gets taken from me and I have more strokes and heart attacks, you know, I feel like they know what they're doing. I feel like they know what they're doing. My dad's bought at least a dozen houses in his life. He signed the deal. He knows what equity is. He knows how to grow money. And he knows that I'm not growing money in the system, but yet this is the system that he wants to put me in. So I'm just going to man up and do it myself. Apparently they don't want to help me at all. Apparently if I ask for help, they're going to make my life worse. So yeah, it is what it is. So I'm just going to do my plan and get rid of this bill right there completely. I'm going to get rid of that bill. And then I'm going to save up 10 grand door dashing over the next 3 months. I'm going to buy a place in Southern Illinois that has 5 times this land. And I'm only going to pay $50 a month, $600 a year versus $85,000 over a 10-year period. You know, this is just common sense. This is money 101. All right, my old man worked for 52 years at CAT. They made good money. He was making more money. He still is. He's making, even though I'm making $1,000 a week, he's making triple what I'm making just sitting at home on retirement package. You know, I have no retirement package because I worked at the same place he did and did the same job for half the pay because of union contracts. They went from $35 an hour. I went down to $15 an hour. So I'm just getting screwed by my older generation here. You know what I mean? They're making my houses more expensive. They're not letting me afford a house, so I got to go through this, and then they're cutting my wages on top of it. I hoped you lived a good life. I know you did. You live up on the hill. You live a really good life. Wouldn't you want your son to afford that kind of life too? Apparently not. Apparently this is what you think I'm worth and the route that you want to go down for me and helping me. So I've never asked my parents to buy me a house before this. I never did. But I asked to get rid of this. I asked to relieve stress. I asked because my car may break down. I may lose my job. Robots may make my job impossible to do. Delivery robots. And then what am I left with? Giving this to the trailer court. Paying them $85,000. Giving it to the trailer court. And being in my 60s, homeless, and crippled from strokes. Thanks. That's not what I want.